Hi everybody, welcome back to the kitchen. I'm going to do something now that has turned into one of my weekly tasks. I don't know if you've seen all over the internet, people are making beet juice, and they take beets and something else and they put them in a blender and they blend them up and they put them in a thing and drink it. It's not too bad. I tried that a couple of times, but I decided to do something that would make that my own. And it's a tonic that I drink pretty much every morning, first thing before coffee. And I know some of you will say, blasphemy, you do something before coffee. But I do the Beet Tonic before coffee. And while a lot of people make a lot of health claims about the Beet Tonic, I'm not going to sit here and tell you like WC feels that it's going to cure hoarseness or make it so that you lose weight in 20 minutes or whatever it is that all those claims are. I don't really believe any of that, but beets are good for you. They do help maintain my energy levels throughout the day, and I think you're going to like this. Now, it's messy, so be prepared for that. And then kind of as a bonus, when you make beet stuff like that, you have steamed beets left over, cooked beets left over. I'm going to do that mine in a pressure cooker. We'll do that in just a minute. But then I make a feta and beet salad that goes really on top of salads, or I'll eat it with cottage cheese or something just as a snack that's very low calorie, low fat, low sugar, and it's a great thing to have for a snack or to put on top of a salad. So all of that's coming up. Stay with me. It's time to do some beets in the kitchen. Okay, we're going to start with beets, and I have really good sized beets here. Now, when you get these from the store, one of the first things you're going to want to do, and I cut most of the tops off, and I know people think that's sacrilege to throw away the beet tops, but I don't need the beet tops for this particular preparation. But you do want to wash them because they'll come up very sandy out of the ground. And I'm just going to take these and I'm going to cut that much off of all these beets and put them in this big Dutch oven. I'd been doing this in a much smaller saucepan and it always boiled over. So I'm going to try it this time in this larger saucepan and see if that doesn't help out that situation. The next thing I've got to do is peel the beets, and then I've got some more ingredients to put in there. We'll be right back. So I spared you most of the beet peeling, but I did kind of want to give you an idea of what I was doing here. And I'm just going to take the peel off of it because that's going to go in the Dutch oven and become basically what I boil down for the Beet Tonic. And you can see I've got to pick little pieces of beet peel up off the floor here as well. But, you know, sometimes they say you shouldn't peel the beets before you cook them, and that would be fine as well, but I needed this part of it for the tonic, and I don't think it makes much difference in the overall end product of the beet salad that I'm going to make later. So there we have 3 large peeled beets and a big pile of peel. A pile of peel. And that's going to go in the Dutch oven. Then the beets are going to go in the pressure cooker. I know it sounds complicated, but I did put on an apron, so it can't be all that bad, right? I have all of my other ingredients here, and I'm just going to start by taking a couple of knobs of ginger and putting them in this little, this was a gift to me. It's I call it my lawnmower chopper. And as you can see, that just took that ginger and chopped it up really nicely into there. So I'm going to put that in with those beet tops. Get all of that out of. That's the only problem with the lawnmower chopper, is that stuff will stick to the sides of it. You want to try and get as much of that out of there as you can. So, beet tops. These are the roots and the tops of the tops. Those are going in there. And all of these peels are going in there. Then I'm going to get 2 tablespoons of ground turmeric. Turmeric is one of those things that is really very helpful for you. It's supposed to be really good for inflammation, some other health benefits. It also imparts a little bit of a different flavor. But, and I don't know why this is this way, but everyone says that to activate the turmeric, you have to put in some black pepper. So I'm just going to grind in some black pepper there. Like so. And then I will get 2 tablespoons of ground cinnamon. And again, this is one of those things that's supposed to be good for your metabolism. I don't know if any of that stuff is true, but what the heck? It's not going to hurt me, right? Take that, and I'm going to put in, that's 2 cups of just regular water, and actually it's going to need a little bit more than that. So that's now 4 cups of water. Get all of that into the Dutch oven. Just stir it all together like that. I'm not going to turn that on just yet because we've got a long way to go with something else as well. Let me get another 1.5 cups of water. And that is going into the Instapot. I don't know why they call that an Instapot because it really isn't Insta anything. It just takes so long for it to come up to temperature and pressure. But everybody, I think, has one of these in their kitchen. This little kind of like flower petal steamer that I'm going to put right down in there. And these great big beets, I'll cut those in half. I've got one that's a little bit on the smaller side, so that one won't have to be cut. So we've got those in there. And we'll put that little guy in there as well. Clap on the Instant Pot lid. Like so. And then we're going to pressure cook for 25 minutes. You can tell this is the last thing that I did here. Now, this is going to take a long time, and I'm not going to sit here and like do 40 minutes of video while this all goes together and cooks. But while we're doing that, I'll go ahead and put the top on this, and we'll get the induction burner going there. Let that come to a boil, reduce it to a simmer. It's going to simmer as long as the beets cook. So I'll be back in about, I don't know, 45 minutes or so. Okay, well, I've got about 8 minutes left to go on my Instant Pot, so I'm going to start the rest of this process from what's in the Dutch oven. And you can see that is all very well boiled down. Doesn't look very appetizing right now, but trust me on this. Now that's going to be really hot. And I don't care if you did that on induction, or if you did it on gas, or if you did it on electric, whatever it is, it's going to be hot. And so when I take this, I'm going to pour it, I'm going to strain all of this over in the sink. And here is where you have to start being really careful with this. I've got, I love granite countertops. They're challenging to damage. But I've got a 4-cup measuring cup and just a regular strainer. And I'm just going to start pouring that mixture that's been simmering for the better part of half an hour or so. Just pour all of that right in there. And I'm going to go ahead and get all of those bits of beet in there as well, and just let all of that drain out. Like that. And we may have gotten a little overflow there into the measuring cup, but it's not going to kill anything. And I can strain that a second time when I go to put it in the bottle. But I'm just going to let that sit there now and go ahead and drain out the rest of that liquid out of the beet tops and beet peels, and you know that's going to now have all of the pectin in it that was in the peel. And of course it's got the turmeric and the cinnamon. All of that is going right in there. So we're just going to let that go ahead and drain out a little bit. Get as much of those chunky bits out of there as I can. And like I said, we'll strain that again when we go to put it in the bottle. Let that cool off a little bit because that's not all the liquid that's going in there. Well, 25 minutes of pressure cooking in the Instant Pot. And so we're going to let the steam off. Sometimes when I've done this, I just let that sit there and continue to steam while I do other things, but I had a little bit better time management this time. I do want to say this Dutch oven probably as old as I am. It's Le Creuset, and it was my Aunt Mary Lou's. And I'm not sure how I wound up with it. She passed away many, many years ago, unfortunately. And I'm not sure how I wound up with it, but here it is in my kitchen, and I'm darn glad to have it. Is that? Not yet. Almost. There we go. And in here, you can see these beets are just nice and tender. So let's get those out and then move on to the next step on the tonic. There's always a tool. Okay, well, let's set those over there and let them cool a little bit. Now, when you take out the steamer basket, what do you see but more beet juice? That is going over there. Okay, so now we've got to finish making basically a tonic. And I have apple cider vinegar, which I'm going to give it 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar. I'm going to give it 1 tablespoon of lemon juice. And I'm going to give it a very generous squeeze of honey. And this is just one of those things you put in as much honey as you think you might need. It is going to be between the turmeric and the vinegar and the lemon juice. It's going to be pretty acidic if you don't put something like that in there. And then to make sure that honey gets dissolved, we'll just whisk all that together. Get this up here where you can maybe see that a little bit better. And that just makes sure the honey is well dissolved and distributed through the stuff. Let me get a little bit more cider That'd be about another tablespoon. And a little bit more honey. And we'll stir that again. That's got it. Okay. Over here, this is what I keep it in. And it's just a bottle with a sealer on it. And I am going to strain this again because it's got some chunky bits in it. Swish that around to make sure I get all that distributed. And there's a bottle full. I've got a little left over, which happens. But what that will allow me to do, take this over here and set it to cool. This is the glass that I drink this out of pretty much every morning. So what the heck, let's go ahead and have one. Now, it's going to taste different warm and cold, and I do like it cold. It goes in the refrigerator, it lives there. But it's got the right acidity, the right amount of sweetness, and frankly, I don't know how good it is for you, but it certainly is not going to hurt you. So, but we're not done. But wait, there's more. We still have beet salad to make. That's coming up next. Okay, here we go. We're going to make the beet salad. And this is really very easy. I've got extra virgin olive oil. So we'll get a little of that. Don't want much. Maybe about a tablespoon. And then a lot of the same ingredients that went into this. By the way, I put an ice cube in there. There's a cocktail in there somewhere and I haven't figured it out yet. But maybe one of these days I'll decide what alcohol needs to go in there to make a good cocktail. But there's a cocktail in there somewhere. Okay, so this is basically just going to be very lightly pickled beets. So I'm going to get a tablespoon of lemon juice again. And I'm going to do another 2 tablespoons of the cider vinegar. When I first saw this recipe on the internet, they put honey in this as well. And that made, the beets are sweet of their own accord. So I decided to leave that out one time and it was really good. This is Italian parsley. Actually, let's go ahead and emulsify that and get it all mixed together. It's about the only way to get oil and other liquids to mix. Now, flat leaf parsley. And I wanted to show you this because this was a Christmas gift, not the jar, but a vacuum sealer that will allow, and this parsley is probably going on 3 weeks old. And look how much freshness there still is with that because I keep it sealed in a vacuum. And it's just put that on top, push the button, and let it suck the air out. So now I'm going to go ahead and chiffonade up some of this parsley. Doesn't have to be very much. I also put mint on this sometimes, but I don't think I have any mint right now. So we're just going to forego the mint. But we do want to get a little bit of freshness in this. And that little dab of parsley actually will do that. So we'll just chop that up nice and fine, like that. And I'm going to go ahead and throw that in with the rest of that dressing, like that. Now, you saw how nice and soft those beets were. So I'm just going to take these and we're going to make fairly good size cubes like that and get them started in here. And again, this is something that is good just on its own. If you're just looking for something to snack on and you don't want to feel guilty about it, grab a little of this, because the only thing that's in this that really you have to worry about, unless you're really sugar sensitive to the beets, is a little dab of olive oil. And that is rarely going to blow anybody's diet. And one more here. That's how you know you got your beets nicely cooked, is that the knife just goes through them like butter. But again, this is going to go and live in the refrigerator. Doesn't that look good? It's going to go live in the refrigerator, and so those beets will firm up again a little bit once that happens. Let's give that another mix just to get the parsley all distributed through. And then I'm just going to pour that over the beets, just enough to give them some flavor. And again, it'll taste vaguely if you ever had pickled beets when you were younger, or maybe not so young. I know my grandmother used to make pickled beets and can them the old-fashioned way, and it was always a treat to have the pickled beets. So there are the beets in the dressing, and then this is fat-free crumbled feta cheese. And we'll just throw some feta in there. Of course, this is optional. If you have somebody in your house that doesn't care for cheese, then, you know, that's okay. You don't have to do that, but I like it. So there you go. And that is just a really nice, easy beet salad. You're going to cook the beets for the juice anyway. Why not do something with them? And again, let's get one with a little parsley and a little cheese. It really is quite good. And again, it's never going to blow your diet. So there you go. We have the morning tonic. We have the salad additive, or, you know, again, put that over cottage cheese or just eat it like that. It's quite good. And I don't know how much more I can say about beets. I do want to add something here, though. Because yeah, it's a little tangy. In my last video, when I did the focaccia, and I made it with self-rising flour, and I said I would try it with a gluten-free flour, and there's plenty of gluten-free 1-to-1 replacement flours. So I did that, and it turned out great. So it was same amount of gluten-free flour, couple of teaspoons of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, and some salt, and the rest of the recipe was exactly the same. So that's going to do it for this time. I'm really glad you were able to join me today, and I hope you'll try some morning tonic and some beet salad. Have a great day.